Yes, 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 yes. Look who I have on the Productive Conversation podcast today. I have the incredible, the mighty, the glorious, and most importantly, all the one of a kind, Jacob Unger. Jacob Unger, welcome to the Productive Conversation podcast. What's going on, brother?
How's it going, bro? We're doing great over here.
Oh, I'm great. I'm great. I really was looking forward to this for the last few days. You're one of my favorite people I've ever met at Uhart. I'm really not bullshitting. You can look at the other podcasts to see. I haven't said that to everyone, but
Appreciate that, bro.
I'm really glad you're on here today. So, tell me what you've been up to post grad life. So you graduated this spring, I assume, and especially in the very crazy graduation, I bet. So what you been up to since that day?
Yeah, so I graduated. It was kind of like they told us they weren't sure how long we'd have. So we had our spring break, they extended it, and they said you might come back after 2 weeks, you might not. And obviously, we never went back. So, like every other graduating senior, I started panicking because I'm not going
Mm-hmm.
back to school and need to find a job. So, I didn't know what to do. I was looking for all these jobs, and the job market was not looking too good, especially for a communications major like mine or like I am. So, I used my fraternity experiences. Obviously, we're in the fraternity together. So I applied to be a field executive, which is kind of you travel to chapters, you kind of check up on them, see what's going on, and so you kind of travel the country, go to all these schools. So I spent the summer in Indiana doing some training because that's where the headquarters is. So I spent my time there, had a good summer. There's seven other of us, field executives. So had some fun. They have two condos, so four in one, four in the other. I stayed there for the summer. And after that, I was assigned to an expansion project at Penn State, trying to bring a
Oh.
fraternity there. It didn't go too well. The pandemic really made that super difficult.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then after that, I had schools I was supposed to go to travel to, but it's not safe to do that. So now I'm back here in Indiana. For the rest of the semester, working out of the office here in Carmel, Indiana.
How is Indiana? Tell me what's that? I happen to be there because you and I, one of the great things we have in common, we were both chapter presidents of the
Yep.
Theta Chi Fraternity, Zeta Upsilon chapter. I know what it's like in Indiana. What's it like just in you're from New Jersey, right? You're from Bergen County, New
Yep.
Jersey, go to Hartford. So as East Coast as you could get. Now you're in the I guess it's considered the Midwest, right? You're in the
Yeah, the
Midwest
Midwest.
now. What's it
Yeah.
like? What's that adjustment like?
It's definitely a lot different than the East Coast. I'll say that for sure. It's a lot of farmland, I guess, or maybe not farmland, but just big grass areas that
Mm-hmm.
has nothing there. Um, the town that I'm in, Carmel, is very nice. One of the wealthiest cities or towns in the Midwest. So it's a very nice area that I'm in. A lot of nice buildings, places to go to around here. I like the East Coast a lot better. I'm definitely an East Coast boy. That's what I've learned being out here. That's where I belong.
Mm-hmm.
The people here, I feel like, with the pandemic, they seem to not believe that's real and still want to go about their
Interesting.
business and their days as if stuff was normal, which I personally don't like because I'm a big believer in this. I know people have been affected by it. So seeing people be so nonchalant about it really upsets me. Um, and just I feel like that's kind of their attitude that, the rules almost don't exist out here,
Really.
which is nice to some extent. But at the same time, you got to know what's going on and be aware of your surroundings and the world around us. And I feel like that's not really the case around here. So I like the East Coast. All I know is that this job has taught me that I belong in the East Coast.
Yeah. How about that? You get assurance and you could say you did it and field execs pretty cool job, but they don't last forever if you don't want it, but you get some solid work experience right out the force, know how to travel and stuff. So I commend you on that. A real field exec. So everywhere you've traveled as a field exec, you just drove, you got in your whip and just saw see this great country, I guess.
Yeah. So funny story. So from Indiana, I went right to Penn State. And the first day I was there, so I was going to meet up with someone, try to recruit them, get them on board.
Hmm.
And I'm driving, I'm parking. It's a two-way street. And pulling into my spot the very first day. And some girl hits me from behind and got a nice little car accident from the start. So it was
What?
off to a rough start. Yeah, the only thing I had with me was my car pretty much and my clothes, and took a hit right away. So that was pretty rough. And then
Jeez.
unfortunately, I didn't get to go anywhere after Penn State. Just right back to Indiana because of the pandemic. I was looking forward to it. I want to see, big sports fan, so I want to see,
Yeah.
all these stadiums and games and all that stuff. And didn't get to do that, unfortunately. It is what it is. But yeah, I mean, I saw Penn State. It's a pretty cool area. Big Ten country for sure. The
Hmm.
different atmosphere than Hartford, what I'm used to. And then now I'm back here in Indiana.
Yeah, I mean, well, first I hope your whip's okay, and I hope she pays
Eh.
with that. Oh boy,
Well,
Hartford's all about that
yeah.
insurance capital. You hit your insurance boys up for that.
Well, yeah. So since I was shifting lanes and I actually forgot to turn off my blinker because, I wasn't being the smartest. So technically I'm responsible. So I'm not too lucky. Just finished paying for her car to get repaired, and my car's still a little beat up with a messed up bumper, and the back's all messed up. And I'm end up needing to buy a new car because it's gonna be, just as much money to fix it than if I'd get a new car. So I think that's the route I'm looking at right now. But what a start it was, that's for sure.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that. You're still a dope person. We all
Uh,
it happens to all of
Appreciate
us.
that.
So, I know you'll make a great comeback star and even a better whip. Make some millions.
Exactly, exactly.
You you know so yeah. So you go to Penn State, see what it's like. It's obviously two different worlds compared to Hartford. Was there
Completely.
was there anything that really you love stick out? Because Pennsylvania, they worship their Penn State, that whole
They
state.
do.
I know they've had a quite a tough. They've had a quite a tough, 10 years since we know what happened with the little situation scandal. But is it a good vibes campus? You felt the pride?
Yeah, so honestly, everyone there, the first day I pulled up, everyone's wearing their Penn State stuff, their Penn State shirts, Penn State backpacks, Penn State face masks, everything Penn State. So they really take pride in their team, and all of that. It's interesting that you brought up the stuff that happened, with Penn State football. You see no signs of Joe Paterno on campus except
Yeah.
for the libraries named after him. Other than that, there's no signs of him. They completely watched his legacy off campus, which obviously, some messed up things happened there, but he was a legend in football and he did a lot of crazy things for the college football game. So
Yeah.
see that his legacy was just completely forgotten and washed away was pretty insane to me. But it was pretty neat because you have the football stadium right across the street, you have the hockey arena,
Hmm.
the baseball fields right down the street from that, the softball field, soccer field, they're all in one little area. So yeah, and that was like a minute from where my apartment was down there. So it was really cool. It's a lot different. I've always wanted to see what the big schools are like, especially with sports, being such a big sports guy myself. So it was an awesome experience. Obviously my job that I had to do there didn't go as well as planned, but some things were out of my control, the pandemic and all of that. So,
Hmm.
but yeah, it was awesome to see what it was like, and how much pride they take in being from Penn State and all of that.
Boy, if only Hartford was like that,
Yeah,
right?
definitely not at all like that. You'll never see someone walk around with their Hartford Hawk shirt, and that's all you saw at Penn State.
There's this dude named Jason Radowitz. I don't know if you know him. He's this
I don't think so.
he was like a legitimate Uhart sports fan. He has a somewhat of a following on his Twitter. He has like 30,000 followers and people go
Wow.
crazy on him. But I, if you asked him, he would make he talk about Hartford, especially basketball, was like he talked about them like they were Duke or something. And we have a quite a ways to go till we get to that level. But how about that? Did you like the campus food at Happy Valley? Did you get a
I
chance to have
never
any?
actually had the campus food, because there were restrictions on going in there and stuff, and I didn't have a meal
Yeah.
plan or anything like that. So I just kind of the place I had a little kitchen, cooked up a little bit, took out a lot more than I would have liked to.
Hmm.
Yeah, so I didn't get to. I went to some local places in the area, had some good food. There's some alumni of Theta Chi in the area, so we reached out to them and met up with them. They kind of showed us the ropes and some of the good food spots in the area. So that was pretty cool. Seeing some of the places around there.
Yeah, I was wondering like trying other campus food. I don't know why that's always been fascinating because we had our Uhart ones. I remember when I'd go to UConn, their food was like hella good. Like, but it seems every kid complains about their meal plan. Even the Harvard kids, I bet.
Yeah. Well, it was funny because Tony Matrice, a good friend of ours,
Yep.
from also from the fraternity, he's actually at grad school at the Penn State. So I met up with him one day,
Oh way. No
and
way.
I was actually something I asked him. I was like, yeah, so like the dining halls here better than Hartford, and he was like, not really. So
That's so
yeah, I
that's
guess
that's a
yeah,
statement. You know,
yeah.
when it came to Uhart food, I low key, I mean, how do I say this? Um, there were some stuff that I would genuinely look forward to. Like Hawks Nest, I'd always have this joke with people,
The
whether
local
they remember
sports
or not.
bar.
Yeah, the local sports bar. I haven't heard that. I haven't heard that reference in years. I love that. But yes, local sports bar. I was like, yo, I would probably eat here if it was just some random place wherever I live. I don't know. I didn't mind the Hartford food. I liked our wings. Remember they'd have these wings
They
like
weren't bad at all.
no man. Oh boy. And you know, back to the field guys, how did you get approached by you got recruited, you were just seeing what out there? Well, why did you decide to apply to be a field exec?
Yeah, so it was kind of something that like I never seriously considered. Like it was always just a thought in the back of my mind. Like, it'd be cool to see all these campuses. And
Yep.
remember also this is before COVID was even a thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it was always kind of in the back of my head. And then the field executive that visited second semester my senior year, his name is Daniel Connor. Still on staff, good friend of mine that I've met through working here. We went out to World of Beer. It was me, him, and one of the other brothers, and we are kind of just talking. And I said to him, it's kind of a thought of mine. Never seriously considered it. Just always been something, that I thought was interesting. And he told me, it's a fun summer. You all spend time together in the condos here in Carmel. And then you get to see all these cool places. He was telling me some stories about some of the schools he went to,
Mm-hmm.
saying, alumni have bought tickets for football games and stuff like that, giving some merchandise. So he kind of made it sound real appealing to me. He gave a nice recruitment pitch to me. And then when the pandemic started, I kind of reached out to him and said, I'm really considering this now because I don't know what I'm going to do for a job. And he kind of told me how to go about it. So I just applied, had some interviews from my boss now, spoke to him a little bit, and he was all on board for me to join. And then after that, it was about a month later, I came down to Carmel, Indiana, and started my summer here.
Yeah. How about that? So, like I said, I've been a Carmel myself for the fraternity, the President's Conference,
Right,
which
right.
is truly like top 5 greatest thing I've ever done in college, hands down.
I agree
And
there.
and the way it works, so as we were chapter presidents, me and Jacob, and the way it worked, so every single Theta Chi across the United States and one in Canada, they all go to Indianapolis for a huge convention/conference. Everyone, whether you had the Bama president, you had the USC president, or Uhart's president. At the time I was there, we were the only Connecticut chapter. I don't know if that's changed,
Still
but
are.
still are. Okay, so
Yep,
but it was cool, literally representing a whole state. My favorite part
yep.
was you got every state stereotype. Like you had
Yeah,
the Cali
that's
bros
very true.
from like Long Beach U, like I give a fuck. You'd have like boys from the Bayou in the South. You had like some uptight kid like the SEC school bros and stuff like that. I remember like, wow, there's some really insane fraternity stereotypes in this room, and then there's some people you wouldn't even
Yeah,
think, oh, you're in a fraternity. So I think that was a really eye
exactly.
opening in that. Do you have any that conference again? Like I have just stories. I went with Sam, our buddy Sam Anchari. What was funny is me and Sam. So the conference is in January. Me and Sam is supposed to go to JFK and fly out there. Of course, he fucking missed the flight, the whole
Classic
flight.
Sam.
I go by myself, and it was cool. They had the signs like hit Theta Chi. I remember like dudes I'm still like Instagram friends with, like this dude from Texas Tech who was crazy. He told me at the time, but I didn't really pay attention. It's like, yo, I asked him I've asked him something, but he told me he was in a class with Patrick Mahomes, like redshirt Patrick Mahomes, in
That's
the
insane.
face of NFL. I remember one thing that sticked out. And so we take the bus back. Sam is late as fuck. He has to pay an $80 Uber from Indianapolis to
Oh,
Carmel. $80. That's
it's a far drive from the airport.
jeez. And definitely laughed at him for that. He paid it. You know who paid for it? I remember Brad paid for it. I don't know if he paid into this day. And man, it was just, we did our business in the day, and then we just got, college. We had some college fun. So everyone
Exactly.
growing out. I remember going to hotel rooms and like whole tubs have beer and ice in it. One of the things, it was not to be too somber, but we went the weekend Stuart Scott passed away. The
Oh wow.
famous anchor for ESPN. And I remember there was like a room with like 50 fraternity brothers. And Stuart Scott's a big deal for fraternity. Most of them are probably big sports fans. And we all took a toast to Stuart Scott that day. That was pretty sweet.
That's
50,
nice.
50 bros just out there like that.
Yeah, and a fun fact about it. So I'm sure, as you remember, taking your picture for the presidential composite.
Oh
So
yeah.
yeah. So actually, they have them all hung up in the chapter room in the office there. So we both have our picture in the headquarters hung up on the composite there.
No
So I'll have
way.
to send you a picture of it. Yeah.
Please do. Yeah, I have my composites over there still. I still have to get my senior one. I have to find someone with that. I never got the senior one, but I got the other three up there. And yeah, you remember anything nuts that you could say on here that happened in your presidential conference?
At the presidential conference, I mean, so yeah, funny story. So I actually went with Kevin, who I know has been on the podcast
Yep, yep.
as well. And then I'm getting sorry about that. But yeah, so and then Boomin. So we had three of us, and I remember we're just walking around and stuff and just doing our thing, and then people were talking about someone took a dump on the elevator. And
What?
yeah, so I remember that was the
That's
big thing of
foul.
that conference. Yeah, it was very, I mean, it's pretty grimy if you ask me. But yeah, I remember, and apparently, and it doesn't even matter because they're not even a chapter anymore. But it was Arizona. It was their recruitment chairman, and I remember I was on the elevator, and I was like, "Yeah, is Arizona's president here?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, that's me." A small little ginger kid, kind of seems like a little bit of a douchebag. And I was like, "What's your recruitment chairman thinking?" And he's like, "What do you expect? We're Arizona. Like that's who we are." And I looked at the kid.
That's
I
what
was like, "You're sick. You're so sick." And everyone started laughing at him for saying something so stupid. And the way I responded back to him was pretty funny. So I remember roasting that kid on the elevator after
Hey
on the
man.
last day, and everyone laughing at him. Yeah, I'm a
So
little bit of a troll sometimes, so I
that,
gotta give everyone a hard time.
so that's why Arizona's no more, huh?
Yeah, they're no more. They got into some trouble,
Oh
so they're
man,
gone.
hate to see it. Gronk went to Arizona. Fun
He
fact.
did. He
Yeah,
did.
so boy, that is that's just mean at that point.
Yeah, I don't know why someone would come to do that, but
Another thing that was funny, we had we had it was this so I went 2015, and so it's the 2014 college football season. The national championship is right around that time, and it was Oregon versus Ohio State. And I remember we put the
right.
two chapter presidents together in a room, say, yo, fight or yell at each other. I don't know. They just being awkward about it. So, boy, that's a weekend. That was a weekend
Yeah,
somebody has to experience. That was my favorite part about being one of my favorite parts about being in the fraternity was meeting other brothers from other chapters and getting their
right.
perspective and just automatic bond and respect from that. And the only thing I ever got jealous of seeing like legitimate fraternity houses, like living in a
Yeah,
mansion or you know, geez, memories that
yeah. Yeah, and that was one of the cool parts about when I was actually at Penn State because they obviously your Big Ten school, they have their huge mansions and stuff.
mm-hmm.
So just driving around, I mean, if you took a right out of where I was staying, that's where all of the houses were, and they were huge. I mean, letters on top and just, you could tell that, you know, you have 30 or 40 people living there. I mean, they were super nice. I saw the Theta Chi one. Unfortunately, no one was there because we don't have a chapter right now.
Mm.
So they're renting it out to some people so they could pay the bills. But yeah, it was awesome seeing all those mansions. I didn't get to go inside, but they all look super nice.
Well, I definitely hope we make the comeback. And one last thing I want to say before we go to another topic. With in Greek life in general, something that I had to really battle with as a chapter president, and I'm sure every other fraternity, both for sororities and fraternities, is the Greek life stereotype, being heavy partiers, getting in trouble and stuff like that. And that's not what most of them was all about. It's really like that 3%. Can you say,
Right.
like, to my audience or whomever's listening, the true benefits of Greek life as a whole and why they shouldn't be so stereotyped?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing I'll point out is, you just, meet some of the best friends you'll ever meet. I mean, here we are right now
Hmm.
doing this podcast. This wouldn't have
Exactly.
happened if I joined one. The networking is something that's incredible, and I could look up, or wherever I go in the country, I could look up to find some brothers, and there'll be people I can meet up with, and it won't be weird because I'll say, hey, I was in Theta Chi. Obviously you are as well. Let's
Hmm.
grab some dinner, and it won't even be weird or awkward because we had
Right.
that connection there. And as well as just things like you learn a lot about yourself, a lot of like skills that will better you, leadership skills, professional development kind of skills. I know being present, I think I became more of a professional as a person doing that. you know you could take a officer role, so that stuff's awesome. I really think that you improve yourself, you learn about a lot about yourself, as well as especially our chapter, very diverse chapter, a lot of
Hmm.
different kinds of people, different backgrounds, interests, whatever it may be. And you really learn a lot about yourself being around people that are different than you. And I think personally that was my biggest benefit from being in one, is I learned about myself from being around people that were just way different than me, and learning from them about their life and incorporating it to mine, and seeing the things I have and I don't have, and what I should be grateful for, and maybe things I should strive for and to work harder for. So that was honestly the biggest benefit to me.
That was a beautiful answer. It's all about that personal and professional development you get out of it. And someone who's also been in those shoes, I really believe that was the best thing I got out of it. And, still staying in touch like this and being able to really uphold myself, especially in a social level that, obviously not the partying social level, but the actual
Right.
interactions and, uh, as you mentioned, networking and, yeah, being a professional. So the words can't describe how much I agree with that. Yo. So one short subject,
Exactly.
I just have to know this because this is actually a question I've wanted to know for years.
Right.
So your nickname in college often was Plunger.
Ah, that was my nickname.
How'd you
Very
get that
unfortunate.
nickname?
So I can't remember exactly who it was. I want to say it was Julian Aaron, but I can't really remember. Shout out
Mm-hmm.
to him.
Yep.
So yeah, he kind of just, my last name's Unger, and at the time I was pledging, and he kind of put two and two together, pledge, Unger, plunger, and it stuck, and everyone started calling me that. I mean, he told some girls in the sororities, and they started calling me that. And at first, I hated it. Like, there was nothing more that I hated than being called that. But at the end, I was like, you know what? Like, it's not going to go away. So you just got to accept it and live with it. So I kind of just owned it. And everyone, I mean, I'd walk across campus and people would be like, oh, what's up, plunger? And or plunge, shortened to plunge, plungy, king plunge, however you want to say it. So I kind of just owned it, ran with it. And then, yeah, when I became president, I was like, all right, I made a joke at chapter. I was like, enough of plunge. It's king plunge now because I run this thing.
Hey.
And everyone started laughing. And yeah, so I had fun with it. And yeah, it was definitely iconic for me. Something I'll remember my college time as. And, even the field execs, I told them that story and they'll call me that. So yeah, I owned it, and honestly, it's almost who I am. So
And it's
yeah,
a
I
great
I ended
legacy
up
to
coming
have.
to love it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, man, like that's like me being called my first and last name throughout my whole life. I haven't really heard it as much. Even, I'll even get called at work when I'm PAing and stuff, just Matt Brown, and I just accept it too. And my Matty B figure this is my name as a young person. I figured,
Right.
I mean, people can still call me that forever. And it's like, it's like when you call dude Robert Bobby in that phase of his life.
Yeah.
That's why I love the Matty B, and I figured that will end when I'm a father or something, and then I'll just be
Right.
Matthew again or Matt. So I know all about those nicknames, and one of the things when I talk to people from college is figuring out the decoding nicknames. Like we talked about the
Right.
infamous Fitzjimmys.
Yeah. That was a funny one.
The second time, I actually got, I had the Emily Fitzjimmys reach out to me about that. I haven't talked to her in a long time. I've had other people, a few others listeners ask about that. So it's funny how these nicknames are getting decoded. I have some more to
Yeah,
find
you
out
can't
on.
even control it. People run away with it and just go with it, and it'll make them laugh. And once they think it's funny, there's no turning back. So, but yeah, it was funny, and I went with it. So,
Yeah,
well, we'll see why it goes away. I still, if I visit there, talk to them on FaceTime, they still call me Plunger.
mhm.
So it is what it is. It's funny though. So I can't be mad if it's funny.
Boy, we know some bad nicknames that have been thrown through the years. Some more sports. You're saying it's a sports fan, so
Right.
you're a Jets fan, right?
Unfortunately,
Jets fan. You're a Yankee fan. Um,
Yankee fan.
you Knicks fan too for the basketball. I know you're a basketball fan, but do you really have a team or? Oh,
Honestly, I mean, I really started to like the Miami Heat after the run they had in the bubble. Ever since when I was younger, the New Jersey Nets moved over to Brooklyn.
mm-hmm.
I kind of haven't had an NBA team because I felt betrayed. That was our only.
Yeah.
Well, we have the New Jersey Devils too, but I'm not really much of a hockey guy.
Mm-hmm.
So after that, and I wasn't going to jump on their bandwagon because they left me alone in New Jersey, and I wasn't going to be a Knicks fan because they weren't very good. So I kind of just I'm a big college basketball fan. I've liked
Yeah.
Michigan. So
Yeah,
I
that's
like
another
them
one
for
too.
football and basketball. So I like a lot of the teams that the Michigan guys are on. But the Miami Heat have a lot of lovable players like Tyler Hero, Jimmy Butler, Duncan Robinson.
Bam
They're a
Bio.
lot of funny guys. Bam, yeah. So I like you listen to their interviews. They're very funny guys. So it's tough not to root for the Miami Heat. So I've started to like them a little bit, but I don't want to be considered a bandwagoner. So that's why I won't say I'm a Miami Heat fan. But I guess I could say I respect them as a team. But yeah, I love Michigan basketball. That's like when I talk about basketball, it's my go-to.
We lost the March Madness this past season, and hopefully they can find a miracle to get it back. Who are some of the top recruits people should pay attention? Who do you think on the Michigan team could be an NBA star or compete in the NBA?
Yeah, honestly, I mean, they got a nice recruiting class. I know they got Juwan Howard's their coach. His son came in as a freshman.
Yeah,
So that should be cool to watch the father-son story. I mean, he's not really much of a top recruit, but it's always nice to see that.
the Austin
Um,
Rivers to Doc
Franz,
Rivers type.
yeah, exactly. They have Franz Wagner, who's from Germany. His brother Mo
Mm-hmm.
Wagner plays for the Washington Wizards. He's a sophomore this year. He's a pretty good player. Isaiah Livers is a fifth-year senior, small forward, power forward. He's a pretty talented player. They lost their point guard and their center from last year, so that should be pretty tough to overcome.
Mm-hmm.
But they should be a solid team this year. I don't think they'll be national title contenders, but they'll be in the tournament like 5, 6 seed. They should be pretty tough to beat.
As long as you get the tournament, like Uhart, if they ever make the tournament, it'll be a
Yeah,
rite of passage.
exactly. No one will see that one coming. And that was the one thing that also, going back to when we left school. So, they were in the conference tournament when all
Yeah,
the universities got shut down, and
of
they
course.
won an upset in the semifinals to go to the conference finals. They were a game away from their first March Madness appearance, and they lost. And I remember, we were all about to go to the bar. It was like one of the last nights we had of school, so we were all like, we need to go to the bar one last time, all the seniors. And as we're, in my apartment pre-gaming, doing all that stuff, um, John Gallagher, the coach of Hartford, and Malik Ellington, who was the star player last year, both were on Sports Center. So I was probably the only people they were able to get since they're local in Connecticut, and talking about,
Yeah.
you guys were almost going to go to the tournament for the first time. You were a game away, and it just got shut down, and that's not going to happen now. So I'll never forget that. As one of my last college memories was waiting to go to the bar and seeing Hartford on Sports Center, which probably has never happened before.
I remember like the tail end once everything got shut down. I remember going out that Friday, and it was like that Tuesday it was like, if I remember correctly, it was Friday. Went to the bar with a couple people. Then it was like that Tuesday or Wednesday, NBA shuts down, then everything ends. And I
Right.
remember the news was on in the bar. I was like, boy, that's how you know. On a Friday night, they have the news. No
This is
sports
what they're
going on.
watching. Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I remember that. And, other sports, yeah, so you say Yankees, I love. The Jets, unfortunately, Michigan. And
Yeah,
then I've
let's
become a huge UFC fan over the past 2 years. I'm really big on UFC now for sure.
you saw that fight with Khabib and
Oh
ended
yeah,
it
that
on
was
top.
heartbreaking. I was so, I mean, he's actually my favorite fighter, so
Mm-hmm.
it was very nice. It was a dominant win. It was awesome. And I was over here in Indiana. My roommate and one of the guys from the other condo, I was, high fiving them. They're not really UFC fans, so they thought I was crazy, just going nuts. And then after he was saying, I retire, I can't fight without my father because his father just recently passed. And
Yep.
I went from hyped and going nuts to just silent and jaw dropped,
Mm-hmm.
in seconds. So that was very sad to see, but a great career he had, greatest of all time, or at least one of them. So, but yeah, that was an awesome scene to watch.
Who's a fighter you're into? Who's gonna replace Khabib as your favorite active fighter right now?
That's a tough question. Yeah, I like Francis Ngannou. He's a heavyweight.
Mm-hmm.
He's just got crazy power. I mean, his last fight, the guys, coming out, kicking him, punching him, and he didn't do anything. And then all of a sudden, he just started berating the guy and throwing punches crazy. He probably threw 6 punches and only landed one, and that one punch knocked the guy out to sleep. So, yeah, he's just an exciting fighter to watch. I'd probably have to go with him.
That's how you get it at the end of the day. That's what's funny about UFC and boxing, where
Yeah,
if you're going by a point system, it's up in the air. You just knock them out, you automatically win. I've always liked that.
exactly.
Uh,
Yeah, and I have a lot of respect for Dana White, the way he runs things, and just how much he doesn't care about what other people say. He does it his way, and if you don't like it, hop off his ship, and he'll do him. And he's been, especially with the pandemic, he's been super successful in getting
yeah,
things going. So yeah, I know you met him too, so I have the
yeah.
utmost respect for that guy.
I was about to say I met Dana White during my senior trip. We were in Boston, and whatever the Central Park version of Boston is, I think
Right.
I don't know what that town is. I don't know what that park's called. Sorry for my Boston fans, but he was literally just chilling, walking. I was chilling with Sam and Brad, and we were definitely a bunch of drinks in, and we just say, "Hey, look, it's Dana White." He was chilling, and we just went up to him like, I guess it was the tipsiness because I'm afraid to meet celebrities. I just like working with them, but if I see them on the street, I know to like keep my distance unless they like deliberately say what's up. But anyways, yeah, he just goes and I approach the guy. We approach him. He say, "What's up? You want to take a picture?" And like there is some confusion. So if you see the picture, I'm taking a selfie with Dana, but Brad and Sam are looking at someone taking the other picture. So it looks pretty selfish, but you know, hey, we got
It's
good times in
iconic.
there. Yeah, what a moment. And then
How
one night,
was he meeting him? Was he a cool guy?
oh my God, yeah, he was the homie. He talked to us for a good couple minutes. That was right before they announced McGregor and Floyd, the
Oh
boxing
wow.
match. And he was just so wholesome. Everyone was talking to him. He didn't really have no bodyguards around him or nothing. I mean,
Right.
he had a little bit of like a small entourage, but like nobody like he wasn't intimidating. He was really approachable and a man of the people, and I love him for that, man.
Right. Yeah. No, he's a great guy. Just listening to his interviews and stuff. I mean, he does things his way, and that's the other thing you could tell from his interviews and stuff. He wants to just be a normal person. While
Yeah,
he has all this money and fame, he likes to just go about his life as normal, and obviously live luxurious because he has all that money. But yeah, seeing him somewhere in public in Boston doesn't surprise me at all because you could tell that's the person he is.
absolutely. He dapped us up. He said, "What's up?" Nice big smile. Definitely, probably my best celebrity encounter ever.
I'm
And
jealous.
oh, your time's gonna come, man. I know you're gonna be
Yeah.
homies with him. But you know, the other thing about Dana, he made UFC starts in '93, and by time 2020, it's a big deal. It's a lead in Sports Center. People care for the humongous fights, the big headlining fights. He's made stars out of, whether it's Conor McGregor or Chuck Liddell or John Jones. As you mentioned, could be he made in less than a few decades UFC a big deal. Like, and it's there. Those big fights are events now. What boxing sadly used to be. I think boxing slowly making a comeback with Tyson Fury and
Right.
Triple G and stuff. But it's still about UFC. It's all about that.
Exactly. And he just got that deal with ESPN. So the
Mm-hmm.
company's just gone up ever since that. And it's at all-time high right now, the company. So
Shouts to
yeah,
them.
I've been, I'd say probably, end of junior year, I started really getting into it. And now, I just look on my phone for the updates, watch YouTube videos of, analysts talking and stuff. I mean, I love that stuff. And it helps because, the Jets aren't good at all.
Mm-hmm.
The Yankees disappointed me. And, it's tough to be disappointed with UFC because it's individual fighters. So,
Easily.
it hasn't really let me down yet.
You ever look at Joe? You Joe Rogan fan?
I love Joe Rogan.
So you must really like his MMA, the extra MMA stuff with that too.
Oh
He's
yeah,
a
and
good
he's another one
commentator.
like Dana White. Yeah, he doesn't care what people think of what he
Oh yeah.
does. I mean, he has had his podcast had Kanye West on, and
Mm-hmm.
everyone was going crazy about that, and had some deep talks as you can imagine having Kanye on there. But yeah, I love Joe Rogan. He's great.
He's on my wall right here. I have him twice, right there and then right there. How could he have a
Oh, look at
podcast
that.
all without him? So,
Right,
um,
right.
man, can't get enough of the homie. So, let's talk about the Jets.
Let's
How
do
you
it.
how you Jets faded this? All right, where do we start? Jets at this moment of this recording are 0-7. They're about to play the Chiefs. At the moment,
That's
the
gonna be
spread is
terrible.
22,
It should
22
be
whole.
higher.
It should be a higher. I mean, that's somewhat a risky number if you're gonna rate that. 3 touchdowns. I mean, reckon the Jets are the Jets, the Chiefs are the Chiefs. Yo, that's quite a spread to hold on. And man, like with the Jets, let's start with this. What has disappointed you the most with the Jets in the literally? Some are literally calling this the worst season ever, and that's saying
Yeah,
something.
I think it'd be easier to say what hasn't disappointed me
Mm-hmm.
because there's very few things there. I mean, their offense is terrible, their defense is terrible, their coaching is terrible. I like the general manager, Joe Douglas. I think,
You
he's a
do.
smart guy, very well respected. I think he has a lot of, he knows how he wants to build the team, around the O line and D line, build in the trenches. And I think that's definitely, you look at the successful teams, obviously you need a good quarterback, but after that, it starts in the trenches. And yeah,
Makai
I
Becton
mean,
does look like a win for these guys.
he does. I mean, the thing is, they just have no big name players, no one to be scared of. I mean, they got rid of Le'Veon Bell. Sam Darnold, I couldn't feel worse for anybody than I do for him because, I mean, you look at the play calling. I was
Mm-hmm.
watching a video on YouTube the other day doing breakdown of the film, and there were like 4 plays where they were being blitzed and they were in max protection to try to, stop the blitz and cover it. And so they had 2 receivers running routes, which isn't a lot. And those guys weren't even running short routes. They were going deep and were covered. So Sam Darnold had nothing to do but to sit there and take a sack. And he couldn't even throw it away because the O-line already let the defense get to him. So, I mean, I like Mekhi Becton. Denzel Mims is another rookie they just drafted in the second round, wide receiver. I think he's got a lot of potential and could be
Is he
really good.
is he going to start this week? Is he finally starting, or
Yeah,
he's
so he
in?
started last week was his first game of the year. He just came back from injury, and
Yep.
he started first half had 4 catches, around 40-ish yards with Tre'Davious White, one of the better corners in the league, covering him.
Yep.
And the second half, the play calling just I don't know what happened to it. It went terrible, and he didn't even get a target. So,
But
yeah,
he will get the
I mean,
start though, at least.
oh yeah, he will get the start.
Okay.
Adam Gase just I don't know how this man still has the job. I mean, the
Mm-hmm.
fact that he's still coaching and the Jets haven't fired him yet after all the embarrassing losses they have taken. I mean, I don't know what you're waiting for. I don't know what you expect is going to happen. They're just going to keep losing, and I don't know. It's just such a big disappointment. I watch it and I cheer for whoever they're playing so we could get a higher draft pick at this point because they're just a mess.
Would you be okay if you see the Jets go 0-16? Only two other teams. Well, only one team went 0-16 in the Lions, and the other winless team was the Tampa Bay Buccaneers back in the 70s. They went 0-14.
Right.
Would you be okay with that as a fan? Because you're
At
definitely
this
getting number
point,
one.
yes. Yeah. At this point, yes, because it's not like we're making the playoffs, so any wins we get are meaningless. As much as I want to see, I'm a big supporter of Sam Darnold. I believe none of this is his fault. It's kind of everyone else around him. But getting Trevor Lawrence would be awesome. I mean, he's a generational talent. So I couldn't be mad if we got him and had to move on from Sam Darnold. But at this point, a win means nothing. The season's over, and it's not like you look at their schedule. It's not like there's any beatable teams for them. I mean, they have a really tough schedule for the rest of the season. So I think it's going to happen, and I'm okay with it. I've kind of accepted it weeks ago that probably will end up happening. So,
And
yeah.
one common thread was talking with a few people. My brother, with some of the brothers, talked to some of my other buddies who I talked to the guy who works for the Pac-12, and he even said that he works for Sirius XM on the Pac-12 network, and he even
Right.
said that he believes in Sam Darnold. He actually watched him because he had to watch him for work. So you would be okay. Would you? Sorry, I should say, would you be down if they get Trevor Lawrence? You obviously can't have both. I mean, you can, but that's
It'd
not
be
going to work with it.
meaningless.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
you'd be down. So you would be down to get Trevor Lawrence if the opportunity present itself, and if he
Yeah, I'd
even
be
shows.
down. I mean, I think he's probably going to be a better quarterback at the end of his career than Sam Darnold would. I still think Sam Darnold could be a great quarterback. He has the talent and the mentality. But the way I look at it is that they have all these draft picks and they could be building, getting receivers for Darnold, getting an O line for Darnold, getting some
Mhm.
support for him. Instead, they're going to use their highest draft pick, their best value pick on another quarterback and not the talent around the quarterback, which that's the only part about it I don't like. But at the end of the day, I think that Trevor Lawrence has potential to be an all-time great. I mean, he's shown it ever since he was a recruit in high school, and he's continued to live up to that status. So it would be hard to be angry about getting Trevor Lawrence just because, the talent he has and things he's done. He's been in the spotlight for a long time. So I think, being in the spotlight since high school will help being in the media like New York and,
Yeah.
where the fans are so aggressive and stuff. So I wouldn't be mad if they got him. I'd be sad to see Sam Darnold go, but I understand. And if they had the first pick and passed up on Trevor Lawrence, that would show that there's bigger issues than I thought.
And you're definitely down with getting. You mentioned you don't know how Adam Gates has a job and whether it is because say they fire him, they put someone in the interim, and they get a few wins. That's farther away from your draft pick if you want
Right.
Trevor taking for Trevor, but or I don't know. We all know Chris Johnson is questionable owner.
Yeah, he's clueless. And Adam Gase, I mean, I, I don't think he knows football. Like that's a takeaway I get from watching him. I mean, he looks like he's on the field and he's calling plays like he found them in Madden, and it's just not working. And he's not changing his game plan. He's just doing the same stupid stuff. I mean, I guess if you're trying to tank, keep the guy because he'll keep losing games for you. So, but I mean, I don't know how. I mean, I wouldn't even hire him to coach my high school football team. Like, I think he's that bad of a coach. He's just, I, I don't know. I just can't understand how he still has a job.
He's calling the Engage 8.
Right. Yeah. And I've made a joke actually with Teddy. I was like, I'm gonna go on Twitter, make a fake Twitter account that's gonna be an Adam Gase burner, and comment all these good things. And I haven't ended up doing it. I'm probably not gonna end up doing it, but I thought it'd be funny if I was like, yeah, Adam Gase is a great coach. It's not his fault. Blame some other people and get some wild people on Twitter to be like, that's Adam Gase, that's him. It's a fake account,
Hey,
just to mess around. But
you're the next Barry. Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Dude, I have to ask you. I heard there was some Twitter controversy after the Jamal Adams trade, or
Right.
did you say what? If you don't mind me asking, did you say did you have a controversial take? That wasn't bad or anything, but Twitter's uptight with everything now.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I hate how players are turning to Twitter, and now for the Jets, it's been their two-star players in Le'Veon Bell and Jamal Adams that have
Oh, yeah,
taken
it's
the
Le'Veon
frustrations to
Bell though.
Twitter. Yeah, both of them. I don't like how they're doing that. It's very unprofessional. That's not how you should carry or how you should handle your business. At first with the Jamal Adams thing, I was like, if we get rid of this guy, that is the stupidest thing they've ever done because he is, in my opinion, the best defender in football. I mean, that guy is an animal.
Yep.
And I was like, he needs to stop being a baby. He needs to be a man about this and stop tweeting his frustrations. And he kept going and going and going. And at one point, I thought to myself, you know what, let's just get rid of him. And then again, I turned back on that. Like, if we get rid of him, that's the most talented defender in the league that we're getting rid of. And I was pleased with the trade that they made because they got good return for him. They got starting safety, a few first rounders, second rounders. So I was happy with the return they got. But they lost a generational talent right there, a difference maker on the field, and it's shown in their defense this year because it's very similar personnel that they had last year, and it's nowhere near the performances that they had last year. So it just goes to show how good a player he is.
Didn't the Jets go 7-9 last year? That seems
They
like
did.
that's quite the record compared to what you have. A game under
They
five,
did.
well, 2 games under 500, but oh boy, dude. What about
What a circus.
so who do you want as the Jets' next coach? There's a lot of interesting candidates out there. If you're going
Yeah.
with Eric Bieniemy, the core offensive coordinator of the Chiefs, maybe Jason Garrett, offensive coordinator of the Giants, the coordinator from the 49ers. I can't think of the guy's name at the moment. He was a hot name out there.
Right.
If you want to go with Lincoln Riley and steal him from college, or Harbaugh
Right.
from Michigan, Harbaugh.
Yeah.
Is there anyone you would like to see, or you just want the right guy?
So Bieniemy, as you mentioned, I think he's great being in Andy Reid's offense and learning from Andy Reid. I think he could be great. I also think that I can't remember his name, but the Bills offensive coordinator, he's been awesome this year. He's really built the offense around Josh Allen and playing
Oh
to his
my.
talents. Yeah, so I like him a lot. And outside the box thought that I've had, just stopped coaching in college, but Urban Meyer is kind of my like wishful thought. Probably a little bit unrealistic, but I think he'd be awesome. Harbaugh, I want to stay away from because I think he's an underachiever. And he has been ever since that Super Bowl appearance. So I'm trying to stay away
Oh
from
man.
Harbaugh. I have enough of I've had enough of that. But yeah, I mean, Bieniemy would be my top choice. Urban Meyer also, but I doubt we'll get him. Lincoln Riley would be great.
And
But I'm expecting. I mean, if they let Joe Douglas make the hire, the GM, to make the hire, I think he'll make the right choice because he knows what he's doing. He's a smart guy. He's very well respected. If they let Chris Johnson make the hire, it's going to be another Adam Gase type of coach that's just going to do nothing and let everyone down.
you remember that rumor? Um, and nothing against this person. When there was for some reason a report that the Browns were considering Condoleezza Rice as their head coach, and for the Browns, and nothing wrong. She's a very accomplished woman. She did a lot for the United States. Great, but she doesn't have any NFL experience whatsoever. So
Right.
that's who Chris Johnson will hire.
It wouldn't surprise me. I mean, yeah, and no disrespect to her at all, but she doesn't have the background or the experiences. Never been a coordinator,
Yeah,
offensive, defensive, special
never
teams,
been a
whatever.
coach.
Yeah, never been a coach, so that would have been insane. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Chris Johnson did something as stupid as that to get someone just with no coaching credentials to run the show.
He'll hire himself. He'll
Yeah,
you remember that movie Little Big League?
yeah, yeah. That
For some
it's
reason, the 12-year-old becomes the manager of the Twins, and I'll be manager. Eh.
yeah. That's something that the Jets would do. I mean, I was speaking to someone, one of the guys that's in the fraternity now. He's a sophomore, so he's a little bit younger, and
Mhm.
he was very hopeful in the beginning of the season for the Jets. And I said, just wait, they're going to disappoint you. I've seen it for years. I know you're a little bit younger than me, but I'm letting you know. And I just expect stupid things to come out of them. That's almost why I don't want them to get Trevor Lawrence because I'm almost thinking to myself, yeah, we'll get this great talented quarterback and just ruin his career and let it go to waste.
People can argue that's what they've done to Sam Darnold the first 3 years. He was, I mean, he
100%.
he was a highly touted pick. He wasn't, he wasn't as, Trevor Lawrence sounds like he's John Elway, Peyton Manning, but Sam Darnold was
Right.
like, and those big three. It was the big, what was it? The big guys coming into that draft year. Baker, Josh Rosen. Now he's backing
Josh
up Tom
Rosen, yeah.
Brady. Tom Brady. We
Josh
have
Allen,
Josh Allen and Sam
Lamar
Darnold
Jackson.
and Lamar Jackson, the big five. We already know Lamar Jackson won the NFL MVP, but he hasn't been proven to win the big games, especially in the playoffs. Josh Allen looks
Right.
legit. I know he's
He
had a bad
does.
couple of weeks and it's tough for me with fantasy, but he's badass with his arm strength and legs. Baker Mayfield, I thought they written off, but somehow got 5 touchdowns last week, but he lost
Right.
Odell from it. We have, you know, Josh Rosen isn't a starter, but who knows? Some people still like him. And then we have Sam Darnold, who won for somehow got mono.
Right.
met with the wrong person there who and um and yeah, it just he had his injury problems, but he's a smart guy and people tout him, and I hope he does well for him too, because he's really seemed to have the short end of the stick.
Right. Yeah. He handles himself very well. I mean, the media has all the reasons to trash him and give him a hard time. And, they even bring up that Trevor Lawrence is, waiting behind if they get the first pick. And he's handled himself like a professional. So
Mhm.
I'll give it to him. And that's why, I respect him. I hope he stays a Jet because I like the way he handles himself, the way he keeps himself as a professional and doesn't, go to Twitter and crying his way to get traded. So,
Mhm.
wherever he goes after, I'll always cheer for him. Even if it was the Patriots, I'd still cheer for him.
Boy, the Patriots, they're 2-4. The
Looking horrible.
tables have turned. They might trade away Stephen Gilmore.
Really? I didn't
I
hear
heard
that.
that, who knows
Wow.
who's on the block or what, and I figured that's a little premature. But yeah. What in the
Wow.
world with the NFL? But it's so much fun. And thank
Of
goodness they're doing
course.
their best to get through.
It's
Yo, man,
good to have it back.
absolutely. Now, why don't we talk some baseball for both Yankee fans? I'm wearing a
Let's do
Yankee
it.
hat.
There
So,
it is.
it's fair to say that the last 3 years have been an exciting time, but now it's getting kind of old. These horrible playoff losses. Where this is the
Right.
year of close with no cigar. I mean, Chapman has a reputation now. 2 season-ending home runs. 2.
Terrible.
And if they messed up with the Cubs, he just tied the game. He clearly, I think, 3 times the charm shows he cannot pitch in the big game. Why should anybody trust him ever again, honestly? And it's sad we re-signed him and we're stuck with him for 2 years. But before I get into that, how are you feeling about this Yankee team moving forward after losing a tough ALDS?
Right. I mean, the one thing with the Yankees when I look at them is I feel like, especially hitting wise, they have a lot of similar bats. I mean, you got Judge, Stanton, Luke Voigt, who are all kind of, and even Gary Sanchez, I'll throw in that mix, who are
Mm.
all, home runner strikeout kind of guys. And,
And all
you
righties
need you
too.
need balance. Yeah, they're all righties. That was the other thing I was gonna mention. They need some lefties. I mean, Gardner's their only lefty in the lineup, and then you have Hicks, who's a switch hitter. Gardner's old. He's not the same Gardner he used to be. And Hicks, I like. I think he played really well in the postseason. I'd love to see them bring Didi Gregorius back and shift over Glaber to second base
Mm-hmm.
again, just to get another lefty bat in the lineup. As well as I'd love to see them keep Clint Frazier in the lineup for good because I think he deserves it. And he's he'll get his hits, he'll put the ball in play. So I think he deserves it. Honestly, I love Luke Voigt. He's one of my favorite Yankees right now. If we traded him, I wouldn't be upset. Move LeMahieu over to first base, and get rid of one of those home run strikeout guys. I won't have a problem with that if it did happen. As much as I love the guy as a player, but also health has been a huge issue for them. They just keep getting hurt every single season, and they can't stay healthy. And the best ability is availability, as we know. So they need to really figure some things out, get some diversity in their lineup, of different kinds of hitters that could do different things, and some lefties, some righties instead of all righties. They need to make some changes because clearly what they've been going with the past 2, 3, 4 years just isn't working. It's not going to win them a World Series.
Nope, nope. We should yeah, I'd be okay with trading Voit too. I think number one priority is just re-signing DJ first and
Of
foremost.
course, he's a
That
stud.
cannot. He won the batting title, and he's proven to be clutch. Like, it's ironically one of my favorite Yankee home runs, even though he lost, was that game tying in Game 6 last year against
Right.
Houston. It was just like, damn, he had it, and then we know Jose Altuve with the buzzer. I don't care. I'm calling it, and yeah, we just have to bring him back more than anything and let him play first.
Yeah.
See, Glaber just could not field this year in the shortstop
Couldn't.
position. He couldn't, and yeah, put him to second. It'd be great to have Didi back. Clearly, that team, if that team is almost the exact same copy as last season before. You just don't
Right.
have Didi, so yeah, let's bring him back. Get him that lefty. I don't know if Gardner's staying, if they're going to exercise his option. I wouldn't be surprised if they are moving on. But,
Neither would I.
I like your idea for Clint Frazier, the starting left fielder. The only other thing I would say that'd be worth considering is getting Michael Brantley. He's going to be a free agent this year. He's a lefty bat.
He'd
He
be a
can
great
get
addition.
and also great fielder he bats from the left side. I think he's worth considering. Now, how about the pitching though? All right, we got Garrett Cole,
Right.
and Garrett Cole proved that he could pitch in the big game for us. He did his job in Game 5. The batters didn't, so we're fine with him. Then the rest of the rotation really is up in the air. Tanaka, do you bring Tanaka back? He's a new free agent.
I think so. Personally, I think, obviously Tanaka's a free agent as well as James Paxton.
Yep.
I think you bring one of those two guys back. I don't think you bring both back. And if I'm choosing one over the other, I'd be choosing Tanaka. He's been a Yankee longer. He's done better things for us. He's had some good performances in the playoffs. He's definitely not the guy he used to be. But he's a Yankee. He's a career Yankee. And sometimes you need that continuity on the team. As well as you also get back Luis Severino, which
Yep.
obviously is coming off a big injury, but he's shown that he could be one of the top pitchers in the league. So that'll be a huge addition back. And I'm not sure what the situation is with Domingo Germán. Obviously, he got into some trouble, did some not okay things. But if he does return, which there's a pretty good chance of it, he also has potential to be a really good pitcher as he's shown in the past. And then, Davy Garcia, the rookie this past year, I think he's a stud, and I think he has potential to be an ace in the league. That was one of the most questionable things they did was taking him out in that playoff game. I was actually having this talk with my roommate here today, how much I hate how analytics is taking over the game because
Oh my
it's
God.
just bringing up some of the worst coaching decisions I've ever seen.
Let's dive into that because yesterday the World Series ends, Game 6. Dodgers win their first World Series in 32 years. So, like you said, analytics, I've always hated analytics. I don't see the point in it. I think it's too complicated. It makes the game so unattractive to a casual person because there's just these dumb sorts, whether it's WAR or batting average plus on base plus swinging and launch angles and stuff like that. It's I understand it's done
all
some
stupid
things,
to me.
yeah, and it really doesn't really add up to championships. I think it's fine for the regular season, and I say fine very, very, very lazily, for lack of a better word, because
Right.
it is what it is. But but we see the ultimate thing that happened. So game 6, Blake Snell's pitching literally the game of his life to keep his team alive for Game 7. 70 pitches in the 6th inning. Only one single given up, and Kevin Cash takes him out. And then what happens? He brings in his bullpen, give up 3 runs, and they can't hold it back, and they straight up lose the World Series. And it is probably because Kevin Cash takes out his best pitcher, simply because what a computer or some big ass some big ass folders say you need to take him out because of this, when the guy's again pitching his life out, and who gives a fuck what the analytics say? This is the World Series. You had to go with gut on something like this, you know?
Right. Yeah. And I mean, that's the thing. You want your big players, and you want them up and going in the big moments. And it was a big moment, and they went away from their big time player. I mean, it just makes no sense to me. I mean, going back to the Yankees, you saw Brett Gardner bat three a handful of times during the season. Brett Gardner is the
Hilarious.
furthest thing from a three hitter. You have him up in a big situation at the end of the game when it could be Gleyber Torres up instead. And,
Mhm.
you can't tell me you'd rather have Brett Gardner at bat ever over Gleyber Torres, but Aaron Boone went with that lineup. I mean, and last night you saw it. I mean, exactly as you said. And, if you really believe in analytics, you might as well have a robot coaching the team and not coach it yourself. Because if you're going to listen to computers, that's who's coaching the team, not you. And
Yep.
I think Kevin Cash loses a lot of credibility for that because, your best pitcher is pitching his life away, pitching the game of his career. And you can't give me one good reason to take him out of that game. And
Nope.
who knows, there could have been a game 7 going on if they didn't do that. So I mean, I get it. I get you want to look at the stats and, who does what in what situations and when they'll come at bat. But, at the end of the day, your 1-4 hitters will get most at bat, obviously, they're higher up in the lineup. You want your best hitters up in that situation. And, managers are starting to go away from that because, as you said, what the computers are telling them. And it just doesn't make sense to me. I mean, I go by talent over and what you do. And you know what? If you're that good of a player, the analytics should show it.
Yeah, and that's when people are talking about this at the end of the day, when you're kids, when when you're a grandpa someday, and you're talking about the judge years and stuff like that, and it's like you don't talk about his WAR, you don't talk about his batting average plus slugging percentage. You talk about the World
No,
Series they won, that amazing play that happened, that incredible moment. You don't care about the stats. Like, oh my
right,
god, the people who try to defend it are. That's why baseball, stuff like that, and I understand why baseball isn't as popular as it used to be.
right. Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
sport. It's not math. It's a sport. It's
Exactly.
you're doing physical activity. You're not looking at equations. It just doesn't add up to me. No pun intended there.
And it proves that it doesn't win championships. It might win you games in the
No,
regular season, but not championships. And that's all it is at the end of the
exactly.
day.
And the Dodgers showed that. I mean, you look at their lineup, they had their top players that you have at the beginning of the lineup, Betts and Seager and, Justin Turner.
Yep.
Those guys are at the top of the lineup. I mean, Cody
Bellinger
Bellinger was
too.
struggling, so they put him batting 6. And you know what? They won the World Series because they went with, the top talent on their team, the best performers that have been consistently hitting throughout the season at the beginning of the lineup. And you see what they did. I mean, yesterday there was a stat in the game showing that every single player on the team hit a home run in the playoffs, and that's not because of what a computer was telling them. That's because
Yeah.
their coach put them in the right situation. I commend Dave Roberts for that.
Finally got it. And it's good for baseball to have an LA team win.
Right? Yeah.
Or
Both
any LA,
LA,
really.
the Dodgers and the Lakers.
That now
Good
that
year to
is
be in
a
LA.
boy. If only there wasn't a pandemic, like that would be heaven to go right. Paradise
Right.
for sports
They'd be
guys.
going nuts right there right now.
Oh, I can't wait for that Yankee Dodger World Series someday. I have to see that.
One day, hopefully
Hey,
next year.
absolutely. So, so what else is going on in life? Are you binging anything right now? What you binging?
I'm not really binging much. I'll watch some movies. I just saw Borat 2 the other day. That
What'd you
was
think of
honestly one
Borat
of the
2?
funniest movies I've ever watched. I mean, as out of pocket as you can imagine. And just when you thought that things were offensive and out of control, it only got worse and worse. And honestly, it might be one of the funniest movies I've ever seen. I saw the first one, and I'm normally someone if I'm someone that normally if there's a second movie, I don't think it's gonna be that great, but that didn't let me down. I also saw Hereditary, scary movie.
Oh,
Almost shit myself watching that.
yeah, it is
Yeah,
a
right after
legitimately
that, I
scary
called.
movie.
Yeah, that is terrifying. I literally called my parents after and told them I loved them because I was so scared. I mean, yeah, that was a great movie. But yeah, I've been watching movies, not really as much
Mhm.
shows recently.
Yeah, what do you have
I have a
time
hard
for?
time staying focused. Yeah, exactly. And I just I'll sit there watching something on Netflix and I'll start looking at my phone and get distracted easily. So that's why I stick to movies more.
Dude, you know me, and I've watched a lot of movies, and especially over the quarantine. And I'm like a big movie nerd. I know people don't go as deep as I do with it, and will watch like a lot of black and whites, but I love
Right.
my movies and stuff like that. You tell me, bro. Could you tell me some of your favorite movies?
That's tough because I won't lie. Like when I was younger, I didn't really watch a lot of movies. I never really was big into it. I like watching a lot of documentaries. Especially being such a big sports
Mm-hmm.
guy, I like watching all that. So like
30 for
Moneyball.
30 and stuff.
Yeah, Moneyball is probably my favorite movie of all time. Just being such a big baseball fan and seeing the story of Billy Bean. I'd say that's probably my favorite movie of all time. As far as a comedy, I mean, honestly, Borat 2 might be up there. That was honestly one of the
Yeah.
funniest things I've ever seen. Um, yeah, I'd say, I'm trying to think. It's so tough. There's just so many of them out there. It's tough to name them off the top of my head. But yeah, I like, I've just recently got started to really enjoy watching scary movies. I used
Yeah.
to I used to be afraid to watch them, and I started it in the Invisible Man. That's a great movie. Not sure if you ever watched it.
Yeah, with Elizabeth
Um,
Moss.
yeah, that's a
Hmm.
great movie.
I
So
heard
anyone
good
that
things
hasn't watched
about
it,
it.
yeah, it's not as much scary. It's more just really suspenseful, and
Yeah.
yeah, so it always keeps your heartbeat going. I think that's a great movie. I'd say those are some of the top ones.
Yeah, some of like with my if we're sticking to scary movies, Shining, really, really suspenseful.
Right.
And that's a movie the internet loves, so you could get anyone to talk about who's seen it. A perfect time to watch this time of year. I saw that there's this movie called An American Werewolf in London, which is it's on
Right.
HBO Max, and that's really intense and pretty realistic of werewolves for real. Even though it's from the 80s, it's still holds up in how good it is. I don't know if you ever seen The Thing, another
I haven't,
80s on
no.
that. Really good. If you have Showtime, I think it's on that. And I think it's on
Showtime,
HBO
all
Max
right.
or HBO Max as well.
All right, I have that. Check it
Um
out.
so you said you mentioned Hereditary. You see Midsummer?
I haven't, no.
That's another one. Same director did that. And that's just really
I remember.
creepy.
Have you ever seen The Ritual?
The Ritual, no, no. That sounds
It's another
intense though.
scary movie. Yeah, it was pretty scary. They're kind of just like in the woods and going through some crazy adventure. Don't want to say too much and spoil it, but that's another good scary movie that I enjoyed watching.
You ever see The Conjuring?
I actually, it's funny because I saw the second one, but not the first one.
I
And I don't
didn't
know
even know
how
there was
that
a second one.
happened, but or maybe I'm confusing it with something else.
Mhm.
I think I'm confusing it.
Oh no,
It's
wait,
killing me.
not the con. Yes, yes. Okay. Yeah. How about you ever see Cabin in the Woods?
Cabin in the Woods. I feel like I have a while ago. 'Cause it definitely sounds familiar. I can't remember off the top of my head.
It's got the homie Chris Hemsworth in it. And
I I don't think so then.
it's on Hulu.
Uh,
It's pretty. It's a one of a kind. Only 90
right,
minutes too, so you can bang it out easily.
right.
Man. So would you say that Hereditary is truly the scariest movie you've ever seen?
Yeah, and it's funny. It actually got brought up in a group chat that I'm in with a bunch of friends the other day, and like
Mm.
everyone agreed with it. I mean, I forgot who brought it up, but someone said it, and everyone was like, "Oh, that movie was the scariest movie I've ever seen," and everyone was just saying the same exact thing. So I think I could list that as just the scariest. I mean, for anyone that hasn't watched it, definitely if you're not mentally fit to watch it, stay away from it because that movie's not for everybody. That's for
So
sure.
you don't suggest watching it at midnight in candlelight
No. And
with
that's
the
exactly what I
speakers
did.
loud, with the
That's
speakers that's
exactly what I
loud.
ended up doing. It was so yeah. So actually, over here in Indiana over the summer, all of those field execs, we'd all on Sundays like a scary movie. We barbecue together and then watch a scary movie at night, which was
Mm.
pretty fun. We did it every weekend. And that one, I mean, so the lights are down, it's nighttime out, and we're all just sitting there watching it, and that was. I mean, every single person there was just terrified after, and only one person there had seen it, and he was like, "Guys, like I'm warning you, it's bad." And everyone was like, how bad could it possibly be? We can handle this. And little did we know, little did we know.
You know what probably the scariest movie to me is, and it's weird because like it's scary but not scary. Is
Right.
The Exorcist?
Texas. Can you remind me what that is? Because I feel like that was one of them that we saw over the summer.
Yeah, it's from the early 70s. It's a classic. It's an incredible movie, and it's about this girl who is possessed by the devil. And she just gets so foul and freaky, and like it is a perfect movie to watch during this time of the year, but it will skip it, I think it depends. Like it comes, remember, it came out in the 70s, so back then it was insane. And even
Right.
they just say some stuff that is just not PC, like the I remember the possessed kid calls the mom the C word, like what? And like
I
having her head
definitely
spin
did
and
see
stuff.
that. Now you say it, it's coming back to me.
Definitely, like, again, see it, 3 in the morning, candlelight, loudspeakers.
Yeah. The thing with me and movies is like I have a hard time like unless except for funny movies, that's like the ones I just really remember.
Mm,
And then like other than that, like with the exception of Hereditary, I have a hard time just recalling what happened, especially if it's a while after I've seen it.
yep.
So that's why with movies I end up struggling to remember and recall it, time as time goes on
Right. Right.
personally.
So yeah. Yeah. What was some of the funniest movies you've seen recently?
Recently, well, the only funny movie I've seen recently was
Besides
definitely
Borat.
Borat 2. Yeah. Growing up, Grown Ups was my favorite movie. Comedy wise, it was just an all star cast. There had a
Yep.
bunch of funny people. So that was probably from my childhood. I'd say my favorite movie, and yeah, I've watched that with my family at least 500 times. Like I can't even count. Um, as well as I'm sure you've seen the TV show Blue Mountain State. One of my favorite shows of all time, and the movie I thought was just as funny.
Blue Mountain State.
But yeah, that's one of those that you need to watch the show to really understand it. But I love that. So and obviously just coming out of college, you could really relate to all the craziness that goes on because you're
Yep.
living around that daily. So that's the funny one for me. Um, yeah, I'd say it was a top one. Grown Ups, that's one that always be near and dear to my heart just because
Mhm.
I've seen it so much with my family and yeah, just all the memories of it. I first saw it on my birthday after a baseball game and
Yep.
with my team. So
Oh,
yeah,
you squatted out
that's
there?
definitely yeah. So it was actually me and one of the other guys on my team. We had the same birthday. So and then there was a drive-in theater 10 minutes from where we were playing. So after the game, we as a team went for our birthday, and we watched it together at the drive-in theater as a team, which was a very good memory of mine from my baseball career in my childhood.
Yo, you know my favorite joke about grown-ups I've heard once? And
So
they
I
said
said,
it was an honest trail, and they said, "Oh, here we go, grown-ups 2, an all-star cast of comedians, and Rob Schneider."
yeah, I didn't like the second one as much. It just wasn't as funny as the first one. And as I said before,
Mhm.
I always think that the sequel is always going to be worse and let me down.
Yep.
It was still all right, and Shaq was in it, which was funny.
Shaq.
And they had the
Like,
fraternity in the movie that was causing all the havoc, so that was a good one too. But yeah, I think the first one was a lot better and one of my favorites all time.
I think some of the the rare good sequels, man. You're right. There's not a lot of them. Godfather 2, Toy Story
Right,
2. Is that it?
all the Rocky movies you could go with, they're all classics.
Yeah, we got yeah, Borat 2. Really, I like Borat 2 a lot. I thought his daughter killed it. She stole the show.
She was great.
I I bet we'll see her going far places, and
Oh yeah.
um and also like some good commentary about the world we live in right now, especially too.
Right. Yeah, and that was one thing I liked about it. Is they did include a lot of what's going with the elections, with the pandemic. They included a lot of that, and kind of made some parody about that. So yeah, I like the inclusion of that, and it really spoke to just how chaotic the world we're in right
Yep.
now. Is the fact that they were able to easily make jokes out of it in a movie like Borat. It just speaks to the world we're in now.
So Borat 2, I'm gonna give spoiler alert, right? So here now, spoiler alert for Borat 2. Dude, the fax machine. This
Oh my God,
I was
that part was
dying.
great.
I don't know if the guy was in it or not, but he definitely played it off and had some patience. The
Yeah.
there's just so many quotes in there that only he can say, really. How
I
about
think the funniest quote of the movie, and it definitely a little inappropriate, but he's going shopping for the dress for his daughter,
mhm.
and the lady goes, "What kind of dress do you want?" Borat goes, "I need something that's going to say no means yes." I think that was probably the line of the movie. I lost it when they said that. I was like,
And then she's
that
like,
was
"Okay, I
brutal.
got something for you." That's even scarier. He's like, "Okay, I got something."
That was hilarious. That was probably like honestly one of the funniest lines I've ever heard. I lost it.
Or then he's at the abortion clinic and he's like, "I just want to do something for my daughter," and then before you know, she got baby in her. I'm like,
I put the
"Oh."
kid in her. Your daughter you speak of. Oh, that movie was just, I mean,
I don't,
whenever you thought it was brutal and out of pocket, it just got worse.
dude. You can look, honestly, look up YouTube compilations of Borat because there was a show, Ali G show. That's where he became famous. And then
Right,
obviously
right.
the first Borat, and he's in a clinic, like STD clinic. He's like, and he goes to the doctor. This is the most serious face. The guy's like, and he says to him, he's like, I have, he's like, I have herpes. He's like, how'd you get that? I got that from my sister. And then he's like, so you're telling me you had sexual relations with your sister? And he's like, yes, very nice.
Very
High five.
nice.
Our
Yeah,
bro,
no,
like,
he's great. Sacha Baron Cohen. He's
go.
honestly one of the best actors of all time, if you ask me. I mean, and he has never breaks character, which is
Yeah.
incredible because I mean, even some of these things he's doing are real life situations, and
He gets
he keeps
legitimately
it together.
concerned, like security has to help him all the time. Have you seen Bruno?
I have not actually, no.
It's funny, a lot of people haven't seen Bruno. I've talked, dude. I think it's on Prime. Like, you gotta literally after this, Jacob. I want you to look up Bruno. I'm like confident,
I can definitely check that out.
dude. And it's also another like 80 minutes, easy watch. It's just the same thing as
Yeah.
Borat, but a different character fooling the public. Like he plays this he plays a gay fashion designer, right? And he goes to Al Qaeda, right? He finds this Al Qaeda terrorist. Again, spoiler for this. And he says to him, to his face, Yolita Osama, he looks like a homeless Santa Claus. The guy tells her to get out. And he talks about on David Letterman, yeah, I had legitimate national homeland security had to help me because they're looking for me.
That's funny. Yeah, no, that just reminded me. Another movie that I loved is and one of my all time favorites, comedy wise, You Don't Mess with the Zohan.
You know what's
That's
funny? I
a
haven't seen that
great
yet.
one.
I've only
Oh,
seen like 20
that's
minutes.
funny.
Yeah, a
Yeah,
lot of people
it's
like
a
that.
yeah, old Adam Sandler. So while he was still funny, and yeah, that's a great one. I mean, he almost plays like you know a character like that.
Mhm.
That's just foreign and says all these crazy things. Obviously, it's not in some real life situations. It's all acting, but
Yep.
that's another great one. You should definitely check it out.
Sloane is in it from Entourage, right?
Yep, yep.
How about that, dude? Like, and then with dude, and yeah, I don't know if you saw Sacha Baron Cohen did a brief show for Showtime, again, just showing off the elections called Who is America? And he had the real OJ Simpson, and spoiler
Right.
alert. And he like, you know, the joke is this is the real OJ Simpson. He's out of jail and he says like, and he's like, oh, you're Buffalo Bill, a Buffalo Bill, right? So yeah, I'm Buffalo Bill. And then he's talking to this girl like next to him in another language, like, who is OJ? This is OJ. He's like, to his face, implying that. And he
That's
asks him, you
brutal.
kill anyone? I kill nobody. Like he doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah. And I'll also watch a lot of like comedy specials. So yeah, I just saw Eric Andre's comedy special. I'm a big
Yeah.
fan of him. Yeah, so I'll watch a lot of comedy specials. Joe Rogan, we were talking about him
Mhm.
before. I watched his comedy special on Netflix. So I'll watch. I like a good laugh always, so I'll turn to those if I'm looking at something to watch. And yeah, Eric Andre was the most recent one I watched, and obviously new season of his show came out, which I'm
Yeah, I was
hyped
gonna
for.
ask. I haven't seen it yet. I haven't seen the new episodes yet. Have you seen a new Eric Andre show?
Yeah, so only the first episode has come out so far, but it's hilarious, and he does some brutal stuff on it. So as you can imagine, that's
I
what he does
can't
best.
wait.
But
I saw
yeah,
that
he's great.
that Hannibal's not coming back this season.
Yeah, he's gone.
Like
They
he
had
legitimately
someone
gone.
else. Yeah, that's a shame because they were a great duo. I don't know if you've ever seen, but look it up on YouTube when they take over each other's Tinder accounts,
Oh
and they're
yeah.
just saying also, oh yeah, that's on. They're just they were a great duo together. I mean, they were able to feed off each other's energy. So
He's just going to. He's like,
I
hey,
love them.
I love the lines. Like, hey, can I have your social security number?
There was one thing he goes, uh, Matt was, I want you to fuck my wife, and then the lady's going nuts, and she's like, okay. And he's like, this hasn't worked before. I'll fuck your husband with just a bunch of questions. I mean, he's great. He's hilarious. Yeah, no,
And
it's I love Eric Andre.
me too, bro.
Personal favorite of mine.
I like the stand-up special. It was intense, but I like it, and I've been getting into really a lot of stand-up too. And like you said, the Joe Rogan, Joey Diaz, can't go wrong. Um,
Yeah,
I like this girl, Annie Letterman. She has some intense jokes. She's on the
I haven't
rise.
heard of her.
Whitney Cummings is good. This dude Andrew Santino.
Oh, Andrew Scholes. He's great
Yeah,
too.
Andrew
He's
Schultz.
funny as hell. He's
I
great.
I've seen he has some great internet commentary. Boy, comedy. And Bill Burr, can't
Yeah,
leave out Bill Burr and
Bill
Burt
Burr,
Kreischer, Dave Chappelle.
Dave Chappelle. Yep,
Hmm.
all the classics there. I know another thing I'll recommend to you. So I found it on Netflix just randomly scrolling through. So it's kind of like a comedy around the world thing. So like
Hmm.
it's a documentary that they do. It honestly might have been Sacha Baron Cohen. I can't remember. But yeah, so like he kind of just goes like around the country and finds these different comedies and what's funny in different countries. So I can't remember what country it was, but somewhere in the Middle East where they have their police checkpoints on the roads, and it was a prank show that they, stopped people for the checkpoint, and they, pretended that they'd say to the person, "Oh, we've detected that there's a bomb in your car.
Hmm.
You're gonna go to jail for the rest of your life. This and that." And these people are crying and screaming and panicking, and then they're like, "Oh, it's just a prank," and point to the camera, all
Dude.
stupid. But yeah, it was brutal, and they took it off the TV there. But yeah, that's a great watch. It's
Oh,
I
I'm
think it's
gonna look.
called The Dangerous World of Comedy, I believe it was called. But yeah,
Okay.
that's a great watch.
Dude, I mean, and speaking of pranks, I mean Eric Andre's pranks, and we talked about the show before, like the stuff this dude does, like go on the subway and he's like, "Hey, I lost a job at Fruit Loops," and pours milk and Fruit Loops in
Yeah.
like the hottest day in the subway and just legitimately making people mad. The
There was
bird
one
up.
he did on Bird Up's a great one. There was one he did on the show, not to spoil it, but this guy's just passed out drunk sleeping on the subway, and he just takes down his pants and starts peeing on the guy on the subway, and everyone's going after him, and only Eric Andre would do something like that. But I mean, he I don't know. I don't know how people have the balls to do that stuff
No,
and just not worry about the consequences.
and
I
he's a
commend them for that.
him and Sacha Baron Cohen, they're very intelligent people. I don't know if you ever heard them in
They
interviews and
are.
stuff. Like, I think you have to be extremely smart to be aware of your what risk you're taking and stuff.
Right.
And dude,
And they never seem worried that like these
no,
people are gonna beat them up and come after them. I mean, yeah, you said perfectly there. You need to be a genius to do this stuff, or else
hmm,
you're not gonna get away with it so well.
dude, no, you won't. But yo, Plunger, we've been at it for a nice hour and a half. Got a lot of great things we're talking about. Before I wrap this
Definitely.
up, is there anything else you want to say? Let go. We talked some sports. We talked about field exec life, movies, prank shows. Is there anything else you want
Yeah.
to add with this?
Yeah, I mean, I guess just one parting message, I guess, obviously crazy world we're in, a lot going on. Definitely now more than ever. And this is something that, especially being away from my family doing this job, I've really realized how just, important it is keep in touch with your family and to stay around them and, make sure everything is good. Cause, with the pandemic and everything, you don't know when things are gonna, take a turn for the worse. So, just live every moment with your family and cherish it. Because I'll say, the one thing that I regret largely about kind of taking off and doing this job is I'm away from my family at a very uncertain time. And knock on wood, hopefully nothing happens to my parents, my siblings. But it's definitely scary being away from them for so long, and not knowing what's going on in the world, and they could get sick at any moment. So it just everyone stay safe, keep your family safe, and keep in touch with them, because that's very important.
Well, that's very wholesome, Plunger. Thank you so much for taking the time to say that. Thank you for taking the time to come on here with me. I had a
Thanks for
blast. I hope
having
you
me.
had a blast, and I would really hope you want to come back on.
For sure, yeah. Whenever you want to have me on, I'm down for it. So just let me know, and I'll be here.
Oh, I have you
And when
marked
I'm
down for
back on the
that.
East Coast, I'll check out your studio there. It looks pretty nice, so I'll have
Thank
to
you,
pull
man.
up
Please come by, please, and we'll definitely hang out and get lit in this world to celebrate the end of the bullshit. We'll say that.
for sure. Yeah, I'm all for that. So I'm looking forward to it.
All right, you the man, Plunger. I fucking love you. You rock, and I'm excited to see where you go. And I'm glad we did this.
Much love. Appreciate it, bro.
All right, I'll catch you later, Brody. Thanks again, and you the man.
Thank you.
All right, see you later, brother.
See ya.